I've seen fear closer than most people see hope. And the most potent, most paralyzing fear isn't the fear of death. It's the fear of poverty. You wake up every day, you fight, you pray, you try to do the right thing, but the money slips away. Debts grow. The bills never close. You call it a crisis, bad luck, or karma. I call it a code, a forbidden spiritual code, working in silence. Before I left the kingdom of darkness, my job was simple: to ensure certain people never succeeded. I'm an ex-warlock, and what I'm going to tell you today isn't about demons knocking on your door. It's about 3 secret rules, 3 codes that, if you violate them, the gateway to your material prosperity is closed forever. You need to hear this. Stay until the end, because the 3rd code is the most subtle, and it's the one acting in your life right now. My initiation into the high ranks of the spiritual world of sorcery didn't start with gruesome rituals in forests. It started in a meeting room. Guess, the plan to destroy a prosperous life is as bureaucratic as a business plan, only with eternal consequences. I vividly remember the first time I was given a target. His name was Elias. Elias was not a pastor or a religious leader. He was an entrepreneur, simple man who owned a mechanic shop. But he had one thing that disturbed the council. He was consistently prosperous. Not rich, but always moving forward, always helping, always at peace. Our mission wasn't to kill him, but to paralyze him, to make him a burden, a weight on his own family, so that he would lose influence and faith in a domino effect. The master, who oversaw the work, taught us that money on the spiritual plane is an energy of exchange. It's not just paper, it's the permission to advance, to free up time, to expand your dominion, and to block it, we needed codes. The first forbidden code we learned to implant in Elias's life was the Code of Unworthiness. Think about it. You work, you strive, and when something good finally happens, a subtle thought arises. This is too much for me. I don't deserve it. It will go wrong. Elias was a man of faith, but he had a silent addiction, false humility. Whenever he won a big contract, he minimized it. He said it was luck, or worse, he felt guilty. The master explained to us, when the creature rejects the fruit of his labor due to unworthiness, it is actually spiritually closing the door to the continuation of the blessing. It's self-sabotage, disguised as virtue. Our job was simply to amplify that voice of guilt and unworthiness every time he signed a big check or received praise, and prosperity would stagnate. He would earn enough to cover the previous loss, but never enough to truly advance. He was trapped in the maintenance cycle. Elias's case shows us that financial blockage isn't always a visible external attack. Often it's an internal whisper. But there was something deeper, something that involved alliances. We then came to the second forbidden code, the code of the closed hand in silence. I know you think of tithes and offerings. It's more complex than that. Master taught us that the kingdom of darkness thrives on isolation and the paralysis of flow. Elias was generous to the church, but he had a closed hand with his community of purpose. He had business friends who struggled, but he kept his success secrets to himself. He had a brilliant employee whom he feared would surpass him, so he kept him in a subordinate role. The second code prohibits the sharing of knowledge and opportunity with those you love and who are on the same journey. Do not pass on the key. That was the rule. When you become a well instead of a river, you retain knowledge, retain opportunity, retain help. You deactivate the spiritual law of flow. The plan of darkness is to make you hoard out of fear of losing your edge. And so, your source, which should be abundant, begins to slowly dry up because it is no longer fulfilling its purpose of being a channel. When Elias stopped mentoring, stopped sharing, stopped expanding the circle of prosperity, his business lost its spiritual momentum. I remember the master saying in a session, money that sits still without generating impact and without liberating others becomes mud in the hands of the one who holds it, and mud does not flourish. I was learning the mechanics of misery, and it was cruelly logical. Elias started having problems with suppliers with the government. No more direct attacks, but bureaucratic paralysis. But what truly destroyed Ilias's financial peace, what finally brought him to the brink of bankruptcy, was the third forbidden code. This is the most important one, and I am certain it is at work in the lives of thousands of people watching me now. It is the code of forgotten honor. Honor is not just respect, okay? It is recognition of the flow and the source. Elias honored his faith, but he failed miserably to honor who had helped him get there. He stopped honoring the journey and the key people. He cut contact with the humble mentor who had taught him the trade. He failed to publicly thank his wife for years of sacrifice. He treated his employees as mere numbers, forgetting they were the living force of his business. On the spiritual plane, prosperity is governed by a law of moral cause and effect. When you fail to honor your source God, your parents' roots, your spouse's main alliance, and your mentor, guide key to knowledge, you are, in essence, telling the spiritual universe that your success came only from yourself. And prosperity that fails to recognize the source is seen as arrogance in the spiritual world. When honor breaks, the protection of success is withdrawn. It's an invitation to chaos. Elias, the once prosperous entrepreneur, lost the major contract that sustained his company. It wasn't a demon that stole it. It was the absence of honor that deactivated the protection that kept the contract safe. Lack of honor is the hole in the fence that allows the entire flock to be scattered, okay? He fell, not because of sorcery, but because he violated the code. I watched Elias lose everything, okay? And I didn't do anything directly. I merely used the 3 codes that were already activated by his own subtle behavior: unworthiness, the closed hand, and silence, and forgotten honor. You have been praying against the attack, but the block is in your own behavior. Material wealth is not just the result of hard work. It is the natural consequence of correct spiritual alignment. You need to reverse these codes today. Declare your worthiness. Accept success without guilt. Thank God, but acknowledge that the fruit of your labor is deserved. Activate the flow. Share your knowledge. Help those behind you. Open your hands. Become a river, not a well. Restore honor. Return to your roots. Acknowledge your guides and alliance. Success without honor is fleeting. What I revealed to you today is a secret from the High Council. It is the engineering of poverty. Do you believe this really happened? Can you look back and identify which of these codes you unknowingly activated? If you felt a chill, if something in you woke up, it's because this video urgently needed to reach you. Comment below. Which of these 3 codes are you going to deactivate in your life today? I will read every testimony. Subscribe to the channel, but only if you have the courage to confront these truths. The kingdom of darkness hates for these secrets to be revealed. Be the proof that knowledge brings freedom. Share this video with someone you love who is struggling. See you in the next one.